this week, after you're done with your graded activities for the week, you might want to try the just for practice exercise that you'll find in myitlab. There's no grade associated with it, but I put it out in myitlab just so you could get the opportunity to work in a simulation exercise and get the feel for it before you are assigned the training activities that will be assigned for a grade in the following weeks. You'll see it in the list of regular assignments, and it should say just for practice. Click on the link to start it up, and the simulation activities take a little bit longer to launch than the quizzes do. You'll see this animated "please wait, your assignment is loading," and if that takes a long time, don't panic, because it generally does take a long time the first time you run a simulation. If you have run your home computer setup and also your installation wizard, including all of the simulation download files where you saw the Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and even Access files downloading, and that completed successfully, you should not have a problem running these simulations. Once your assignment is loaded, it will actually look like a Windows environment, or in some cases, particularly when you're in one of the software applications, it will look like the environment of Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. So it's important to remember that you are in a simulation. You're not actually looking at that program. You're not in that live software at the time. What you're going to be doing in these simulations is looking at the bottom of the screen for instructions or prompts of what you are to do in the exercise. And it's very important that you get used to how the prompts are worded and what they mean. For instance, in this particular prompt, it says add a shortcut icon for the calculator program to the desktop. So in this case, they're not asking for any specific method of doing this. They just want you to, in Windows, know how to add that calculator program to the desktop. Now, in many cases, you're going to know exactly what to do, but in some cases, you will want to ask for help with this task. When you need help with a task, there are two buttons, the Show Me and the Hint button. The Show Me button will just play the task for you and do it, and then ask you to do it afterwards. The Hint will ask you to do certain steps as you read along. It'll give you little hints as you go along step by step. I prefer the Show Me, but sometimes the Hint is a little bit slower, and for a more complicated task might be more helpful. In any event, make sure that you let the Hint or the Show Me finish up, and that will keep you from getting hung up, because sometimes if you interrupt them, it will hang the system up. You'll get used to this as you go along. Let's click the Show Me for this particular task.
Click the Start button. Point to All Programs, and then click the Accessories folder. Right-click the Calculator program, and from the shortcut menu, point to Send To, and then click Desktop Create Shortcut.
So you hear that there is audio in that Show Me, and I don't know if you could tell exactly what it was saying or not, but you will be able to tell when you're running it yourself. So it goes through and it completes the task for you, shows you exactly how to do it. It highlights the menu items that you would need to select as you are doing the task. And then finally, it shows you this little dialog box here that says, now that you have seen how this task is done, try completing it yourself. If you need further help, click the Hint or Show Me button. And you can click OK at this point. So now you would want to go and do the assignment, or follow the prompt. So you click the Start button, as they said. Go to All Programs, Accessories, and right-click the calculator. Choose the Send To, and then from that menu, the desktop create shortcut. And it tells you that you've done that correctly, and then it goes to another question. It goes to the next question. Now, if you happen to have completed the task incorrectly, and I'll show you how that works, it will, in your simulation exercises, it will give you 20 attempts to get it right. So take your time and make sure that you do get it right, because if you run out of those 20 attempts, it's going to skip over that question and it won't let you go back. So in this case, we're being asked to change the image used for the desktop background to the third option in the Nature category, IMG3. In general, when you are changing the desktop, you can right-click on the desktop and choose an option from there. In this case, we're going to choose Personalize. And this is where we would make this selection to change the desktop background. Now, I just tried to maximize this screen, and that should be allowed, but since it is not one of the steps in completing the assignment, it's telling me incorrect action. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to click the maximize button, and you'll notice that it flashes the incorrect action. Now, I've just used 2 of my attempts. Be careful of this, because something like this action that I did, when I believe that it's not an incorrect action, if I keep repeating it, it's going to penalize me by taking away my attempts as I do it. So, like I said, take your time, be patient. If you notice that it says incorrect action, you should realize that it's not necessarily that you're doing something that is not going to complete the task correctly. You're just not doing what myitlab wants you to do next. And so you need to reevaluate your next step. And like I said, you'll get used to that. But you will have 20 attempts to get the questions correct. So we're going to go down to this list and click the desktop background. And what they're asking us to do is look in the Nature category. So I'm going to look through here and see the Nature category. And there's image 3. I'll click on that. And save changes, and then close the dialog box. And it's told me I'm correct, and it goes to the next question. Now notice that I've got 38 of 40 questions left. I did 2 of the questions out of 40. You won't have that many questions in your simulations, but you've got that many in the practice, so you can use them however you want to. You also will be able to go to this question list and skip around to different questions. So if I want to try a different question, I'll scroll all the way down to defragmenting disks here, and it will pull up that particular question. Now it tells me what number the question is, but I still have 38 out of the 40 questions. So it's asking me to modify the disk defragmenter schedule for the hard drive so that it is run automatically every Monday at 1 a.m. Well, I might not know how to do that, so this time I'm going to try the hint.
In Windows Explorer, with the computer window displayed, right-click Local Disk C, and from the shortcut menu, click Properties.
Now in this case, since I clicked hint, it is not going to keep running through the assignment or through the task. It is going to wait until I do what the hint is asking me to do. So I'm going to go up here and right-click Local Disk C, and then click Properties.
In the Local Disk C Properties dialog box, click the Tools tab.
Again, I'll follow that instruction and click the Tools tab.
Click the Defragment Now button. In the Disk Defragmenter dialog box, click the Configure Schedule button.
Notice that the buttons that I'm being asked to press are in a red highlighted border.
In the Disk Defragmenter Modify Schedule dialog box, click the Day arrow and then click Monday. Click OK. Click Close. In the Local Disk C Properties dialog box, click OK.
So again, after you have run through the hint, and notice that the hint was interactive where you have to do what it's asking you to do. You're not just watching the task be accomplished. But once you have done that, you're going to do it again, but without the hint and on your own. One of the other items that you'll want to know about in the simulations is the reset button. Anytime you seem to you're doing the task correctly and you keep getting incorrect action, often it will help if you click the reset button, because sometimes it's just a matter of you doing something in the out of sequence, and that whole question needs to be reset to the very beginning to kind of erase all of the actions that you've done. So again, you'll get used to this, but if you come to a question where it seems like you're doing everything exactly correctly and it's just not letting you pass, click that reset button and start from the beginning. In many cases, particularly in the find and replace tasks where you are asked to find a certain word in a document, myitlab wants you to go to the top of the document first. So it wants you to perform a Control-Home keyboard shortcut and go to the top of the document. And if you don't do that, no matter what you do correctly in that task, it's going to tell you that you did it incorrectly because it was waiting for you to start off by going to the top of the document. So in that case, the reset button would be something that you'd want to press. If you get to a point where you're really confused about why you're getting an incorrect action, since you have 20 attempts, you get 4 or 5 of them, and if you want to email me and ask, give me as many details as you can about what you did, and I can even go in and actually see what your actions are. It actually logs all your actions on a particular task. So oftentimes I'm able to help you get past something, and you can always skip the question and go back to it later. So these are just some helpful hints for not getting frustrated when you're in these automated simulations. Finally, the last thing I want to show you in here is the Save for Later button. You don't have to finish all 40 questions in one sitting. You can finish what you want and then click this Save for Later button. It will ask you, do you want to save the assignment for later? Of course you would click OK, and then you would be back in the course content, and it would show you that should show you that you're in progress. Mine says not passed, but that's because of something I did earlier. Until you submit the training for grading, it should tell you that you're in progress. So every time you click that Save for Later button, you should see in progress. So don't worry about the not passed. Even if you do happen to not pass a training simulation, you will have 3 attempts to get a passing grade. So even that is not an absolute when you see that. But ordinarily when you click that Save for Later button, you would just see in progress, and then you could click the link again to go back to the last question that you left off with.